Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really cool team that almost finished in the top 100 of the Players Cup 4 online qualifiers. The player who used this team was able to get a rating of over 1700, and this team has a lot of cool stuff. First of all, we have to start off with Turtonator. That is not a Pokemon that we see very often, but it's actually specifically designed to counter Zacian. Now, this is a set with Iron Defense, Body Press, Fire Spin, and Protect. Turtonator's max HP, max defense, so Zacian can't do that much damage to it. One thing to note is that some Zacians, of course, carry Sacred Sword, so they can't ignore those defense boosts, but regardless, it's not really that strong into Turtonator. Turtonator can then trap the Zacian in and really make its life a little bit more difficult. This team also features a Dialga, so the Behemoth Blades from Zacians really won't do that much to Dialga, and so the combination of Turtonator and Dialga can actually trap in those Zacians with that Fire Spin and really just pick up a knockout onto it relatively easily afterwards. There's also some other cool stuff on this team, such as Babiri on Grimmsnarl. We typically see, the lagging tail or the light clay these days. Light clay feels like it's really on so many different teams. And then the Assault Vest mixed Landorus. This has Weather Ball, Earth Power, Grass Knot, and Stone Edge, so definitely a slightly surprising set. The cool thing with this Landorus is, you can take advantage of either your opponent's weather, for example, if they're using a Sun team, or Dialga can set up the Hail using the Max Hailstorm, and then Landorus can then use Weather Ball to be opposing Landoruses. So a lot of interesting components to this team. Thank you to Taka for the team. You can find him linked in the description below on Twitter. There's also a rental for this team, obviously, and there's a team report on Liberty Note also linked in the description below. So with us trying out Turtonator today, I want to know, for the question of the day, what is your favorite Gen 6 Pokemon down in this comment section below. Thanks so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoyed, please share support by leaving a like, and let's get started. I think Turtonator just is really interesting. I haven't seen it used at all until this team came up, and so that's always one of the fun things from, watching a metagame develop, seeing people figure out specific Pokemon that can counter specific Pokemon really, really well. And in this case, Turtonator, it matches up really, really interestingly into Zacian specifically. So I'm actually really hoping we get to play a bunch of different Zacian teams today, because that means we'll get to feature Turtonator. If not, then, there's still a lot of other cool things like the 4-attack Dialga with that Life Orb. It's actually not running Max Quake. Instead, if you got that Max Rockfall, that's really valuable into Charizard. Max Hailstorm, really valuable, especially into Groudon, for example. And going into, this format towards the end of Series 8, Sun is just everywhere right now. So this team definitely has a couple of good answers against it. I think the restricted Pokemon you're going to see most of the time when you're playing are going to be Groudon and Zacian, and so with this team, you definitely have answers against Groudon, and then against Zacian, you have that Turtonator. So let's look for our first opponent of the day, and fingers crossed. Normally, it's funny, I don't know, I would say I wouldn't want to go up against Zacian teams just because Zacian is such a strong Pokemon, but with this team, Turtonator really wants to go up against it, and I don't know. I think if you are building a team in Series 8, you obviously want to be able to have answers against the strongest Pokemon, and Zacian is one of them. So this is such a unique tech that we haven't really seen up until now. So, first game of the day, and what do you know? It is going to be Zacian and Sun. So let's hope I don't mess this up, because this should be really good for Turtonator. Okay, I'm really, really excited for this. So we're definitely bringing Dialga and Turtonator. I don't think we bring Rillaboom at all. Urshifu doesn't feel great, so it's probably Grimmsnarl, Dialga, Landorus, Turtonator. I like that a lot. Yeah. Alright. I'm really excited, though. I feel like this team was designed to kind of beat the team my opponent has here. So, I haven't really gotten too many games in with this, or any, much practice in with it. So I'm kind of playing off intuition here, more so than anything. But I think, the goal is relatively straightforward. Let's try to disrupt with Dialga, do as much damage in the early game, and then bring out Turtonator for this late game. It's going to be Grimm and Venusaur, okay. My only fear here is Sleep Powder stuff coming out. So with Dialga, we obviously have Max Steel Spike into Grimmsnarl. We have Max Hailstorm into Venusaur, which is even more tempting right now. One play I could make, for example, is actually just Fake Tears into Venusaur, Max, and Hailstorm. The only problem is, I don't know if I need a Fake Tears, and also, is Venusaur really going to max here? Because I kind of like Scary Face into Venusaur, which should allow us to outspeed Dynamax and then Hailstorm. Okay, I'm down for that option, actually. If we eliminate Venusaur, Grimmsnarl And they're not going to max Venusaur. Okay, so that makes me think they're going to go for Sleep Powder. And if they aren't Focus Sash and they go for Sleep Powder, we should just snipe them away. Although I suppose they could always Fake Out onto the Venusaur as well. A lot of Grimmsnarls these days actually aren't carrying Fake Out though. So let's see. Sleep Powder does make a lot of sense here because you'd be potentially worried about a Trick Room right now. Oh, they're just slower. Huh. Okay. Well, now I'm a little sad I didn't go for Fake Tears in Max Hailstorm. Although, yeah, I guess this Dialga is speedy. I'm just so used to Dialga being a little bit slower. Either way, though, I'm fine with this, I think, because like we have the Zacian answer in the late game. So let's see what their Grimmsnarl goes for. We're going to get the Scary Face off. Light Screen, it looks like. Okay. That's fine. I mean, you're not going to KO us, and I think Max Hailstorm might still just be... Now it's like, even if you switch out into Torkoal, I'll outspeed you, which is a really big deal. Okay, and Fake Tears Hailstorm actually wouldn't have picked up the knockout there anyway, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Of course, I can just go for Fake Tears this next turn, so that's pretty nice. They might go for Max Quake for a Spadef boost, but nope, it's actually going to be Vine Lash. Okay. On a Grimmsnarl, that is a lot of damage. It's not Life Orb either. Wow, that's just impressive damage output then, I have to say. There is a lot of residual damage coming across the board right now between the Hail, the Vine Lash, and the Life Orb on Dialga, but that's okay. I'm just curious if I could have KO'd Venusaur. With one more chip of Hail, it should fall. We have Lando in the back. That's helpful. It feels likely Venusaur is going to protect in this position. So I could Spirit Break and Steel Spike into Grim. What's the worst case? You Max Quake into Dialga? That does hurt a little bit. Would you Max Guard Venusaur here? And if you Max Guard, is that actually a problem for me? Because I kind of want to just go for the KO onto the Grimmsnarl right now. Okay, I'm going to go for the knockout on the Grim here. Reading into a potential Max Guard from Venusaur. Okay, they have Thunder Wave. That's actually pretty interesting because we still outspeed given that we had the Scary Face and we maxed first. But Hailstorm would have been better there. I feel like it's reasonable to potentially read into a Max Guard from Venusaur there though, so yeah. It may have been better to just actually have gone for Spirit Break onto Venusaur anyway. Special attack drop there would actually be really handy for us. So Venusaur lives to see another turn, but that's okay. We can pretty freely bring in Landorus this next turn. And Landorus can just go for an array of attacks right now. Yep, there's Max Quake. So that will give Venusaur a special defense boost. So I guess now maybe they can actually take my attacks pretty well, but they don't do that much to us in return. Yeah, I mean, if I just went for a Hailstorm on a Venusaur there, I feel like I'd be in a really good position. So maybe I should have just gone for it. I'm not sure about that, though. Either way, though, this is a great position to bring in Landorus right now, because they'll probably want to bring out Zacian. I'll get the Intimidate. I still outspeed with both of my Pokemon. And we really want to conserve this Turtonator for the late game, especially against that Zacian. So we have AV Landorus. That's good to have right now. We can double up onto Venusaur pretty easily. Zacian could come out and go for like a... Okay, so it is Zacian. Yep. Could just go for a fighting type attack into the Dialga. If you run Sacred Sword, that would be a pretty good option right now. I don't have Max Guard, unfortunately. Presumably my opponent's last one is Torkoal, right? You would think so. Does Sacred Sword KO? Not 100% sure it does. Okay, if Venusaur has Weather Ball here, it actually could knock out my Landorus, and that's a big problem. And because we have Turtonator in the back, I have an answer against this Zacian in the late game. So, in this position, I think I'm actually going to go for the Weather Ball onto the Venusaur and a Max Hailstorm onto it as well. The only question is whether or not Zacian can one-shot us. Okay, they actually go for Substitute, which I'm fine with, because we should... As long as we don't get fully paralyzed, Venusaur should go down here. Okay, so there's Weather Ball. Nice, no full para. Actually, I'm not sure if Faints anymore after that special defense boost, but let's see. Okay, it does go down. That's huge. That's huge. Nice. And then we've gotten the Intimidate onto that Zacian as well, so that's good. And we have saved the Turtonator for Zacian here in this endgame as well. So all of those are good things for us. We have an Intimidate onto Zacian as well. That is good. Still eating up a lot of residual damage, though. This is why, once again, G-Max Vine Lash is just such a strong attack. So I am taking quite the beating on everything right now. I guess I could have just gone Fake Tears Hailstorm on a Venusaur turn 1. That would have been really sweet. Oh, but my opponent's last one is Landorus, so this is where Weather Ball comes up so huge. Okay, nice. So Landorus comes out. I think we just go for the Weather Ball onto the Landorus slot. We haven't seen if it's Sacred Sword or Close Combat. If it's Close Combat, that's really a good sign for Turtonator. But either way, I think we're just going to go for Weather Ball here onto Landorus and Blizzard here. If we KO Landorus, then Turtonator should really, you know, body this endgame. So, I feel like I could have played a little bit better. I don't know, Fake Tears. I was expecting Venusaur to outspeed. Okay, yeah, they do have Sacred Sword, so that's fine. Dialga will go down, but I think Dialga's done everything I've needed it to do in this game, and we're lucky enough to not get fully paralyzed throughout the course of this match. Okay, so we get the Weather Ball. That is going to be Ice type. I don't even know if a Selfless Landorus would be able to survive this, but... Oh, okay, yeah, so that's definitely AB. And they're going to go for Rock Slide, alright. The problem is that Zacian can just knock out my Landorus right now, right? We're faster than their Landorus, it looks like. The Vine Lash just hurts so much. Okay, so it's down to Turtonator now. If you're my opponent, what do? You target the Landorus slot and then just go for... You could Earthquake right now, actually. Is it better to break the sub there? No, I don't think so. There are probably multiple turns of Light Screen here. I'm just going to Weather Ball Landorus again. And I think Fire Spin into the Landorus here. Because we're max HP, max defense, and they're intimidated. Yeah, so there's Behemoth Blade. Earthquake scares me more from Landorus right now, right? What'll be interesting is that they opt to go for Rock Slide instead because they don't want to break their own substitute. So it's Turtonator down to the world. Okay, they go for a Rock Slide. If we don't flinch, this will be really good for us. It's a lot of damage, though. No flinch. Okay, that's huge. We get the Fire Spin off against the Landorus. Now it's trapped in the Vortex. This is still... Because if you're my opponent now, you can just go for another Rock Slide. I mean, I'm going to protect Turtonator this next turn. I wonder if Iron Defense was the right play there, but it doesn't feel like the right play. It also feels like if we get a double protect, Turtonator should win, but I needed a little bit more damage onto the Landorus, and the Light Screen plus the Assault Vest made this tougher in this endgame. So let's see. You're going to go for another protect. Yep, their Sacred Sword. And they are going to Earthquake to break their own sub. So the question is basically, do I just go for a double protect in this game? It'll feel kind of bad if I actually need to rely on a double protect to win this game, though, because it felt like we had a really good matchup, but the Venusaur Vine Lash residual damage was just so strong in the end here. I think one more Fire Spin knocks out the Landorus. I was hoping Fire Spin would do just a little bit more damage. 2 turns of Light Screen left, too. I do think we need to go for the double protect here. If we get it, I think we win. So let's see. Turtonator gets the double off. Okay, you know, this is obviously that's great for us, but I definitely should have played better in this game because, like, there's no reason we needed to rely on a double protect to have won this one. In the end, I just let Venusaur get way too much off in this game. The disconnect. All right, good job, Turtonator. That being said, like, I didn't do a great job setting Turtonator because I didn't knock out the Landorus, and Landorus was actually the biggest threat to it. So, I mean, it was nice in the end, because I knew it was the answer against Zacian, but this Landorus I needed a little bit more damage onto it. It was just one chip away. Because if Landorus faints, Turtonator would have won the 1v1 against the Zacian here in the end. So, that's a great game. I'm happy about it, but it wasn't a clean victory, right? We lose the game if we don't get the double protect off, and the odds of getting a double are only 1 in 3. So... The question basically is how could I have played better? I think if I were to play that, I do want to double check because I was surprised by Venusaur being slower. But this Dialga, I believe, has a lot of speed investment, so maybe that's not something I actually should have been surprised by. It's not that much though. It's only 100 speed EVs, so like their Venusaur was just extra bulky. Although I guess Dialga is base 90, like that's pretty darn good. I mean, either way, Turtonator comes out. It didn't carry us the game by any means, mainly because my opponent had that Landorus, but if I just knocked out the Landorus, it would have been like the perfect demonstration of Turtonator. Either way, the Weather Ball tech comes up huge, the Max Hailstorm comes up huge. The thing about Venusaur is it's just so frustrating if you don't cover for the Sleep Powder option and then they actually Sleep Powder you on turn 1. So like that's what I wanted to avoid, right? Okay, and this next one, Turtonator's not bad considering the number of physical attackers they have. If we eliminate the Kyurem, it's really good for us. Landorus feels really subpar here, so I kind of want to go Grim, Dialga, Urshifu, and Turtonator. Alright, let's try this out. Scary Face will help. They have Kyurem White. That's scary. I don't think Kyurem White can one-shot Dialga, though. We have Scary Face, which is valuable. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of upset about that last game, just because, like, we lose 2/3 of the times, and I feel like we have such a good team advantage. I definitely should have been in a better spot than how it started. So, not exactly super pleased about that one. It is just going to be Grim plus the Kyurem. Okay. They're faster. Yep. What do I want to do here? I do have Fake Out, and so few Grimmsnarls actually carry Fake Out these days. I'm thinking we can just Fake Out Max and just launch a Wormwind into Kyurem. Steel Spike better here. Wormwind is just more damage and should definitely pick up the KO. Honestly, I'm kind of down for that. Yeah, I'm just going to Fake Out Max Wormwind. I mean, Kyurem very easily could protect or switch out in this position, but if it switches out, you don't have a good switch in here. Your best answer is Metagross. Base 150 Max Wormwind should one-shot everything else. So yeah, it is going to be a Kyurem Max. So as long as Kyurem doesn't one-shot Dialga, this should be really good for us. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it one-shots, but Kyurem White is really strong, so let's see. This is Roar of Time Dialga too, and Steel Beam, so your max moves are just so much stronger. Not so much stronger, I mean, it's obviously like 10 or 20 increased base power, but that really makes a difference, especially when you throw a Life Orb on as well. That snowballs real fast. Okay, so we're both gonna max here. Yeah, I mean, let's see what their Grimmsnarl goes for first of all. Yeah, I figured Grimmsnarl, like, so few Grimmsnarls actually carry Fake Out these days, because you want to fit on so many moves onto it. It is going to be Max Quake, so I suppose, like, you do get a special defense boost this way. But the thing is, I can just Scary Face next turn. So then the question is basically, do they have Scary Face as well? I'm not sure. I don't think Life Orb Wormwind KOs after the Max Quake. I guess they have a little bit of chip from Life Orb, though. And this is base 150 Max Wormwind, so let's see. Ah, hangs on with just a sliver. Okay. Now my only fear is if their if their Grimmsnarl can also lower our speed. Because what I want to do is obviously just Scary Face into the Kyurem and knock it out right now. We can go for a Steel Spike for a defense boost. I think I'm down for that. Even if Grimmsnarl drops our speed, next turn we can just outspeed with the Kyurem. See, I have Urshifu in the back. They haven't set up the Hail yet. I just have to worry about my late game offense, because it is a little bit lacking. If Grimmsnarl cannot drop our speed with a Thunder Wave or Scary Face here, we're in really good shape. And they switch out, so that's amazing for us. Ooh, into Whimsicott, though. It could be Whimsicott and then you Max Guard Kyurem here. That would be a really good play. Okay. Yeah, that was a nice play. Because now my opponent can set up a Tailwind. And I know I have Scary Face as well. So Whimsicott's going to Tailwind for sure. The thing is, though, they have... that turn was just a little frustrating because I could have gotten a lot by doubling up onto Whimsicott instead, but that's fine. If you're my opponent now, you definitely Tailwind. I have Scary Face, but I actually don't think that's as important. I think I'd rather just KO Kyurem with Spirit Break. Yeah, Spirit Break, and I could break Whimsicott Sash, but then that breaks Urshifu Sash as well. I'm not sure I actually really want that. So I'm just going to double up on Kyurem to guarantee the knockout this turn. Yeah, there's the Tailwind. Turtonator is going to be really interesting in this endgame because it actually does really well into Whimsicott and Grimmsnarl. Neither of those can actually do that much damage to us. It is going to be Max Quake, so it's a little unfortunate because I don't have Max Guard here. I could have contemplated switching Dialga out, but I'm not sure that's worth it. Turn 1 in this game, I actually could have gone Fake Out Steel Spike onto Grimmsnarl, but then you get Whimsicott out, you can just Tailwind. And then I feel like then I just really have no damage output against Kyurem. You know what could have been better? Just Fake Tears turn 1. I feel like both of these games I probably should have just Fake Tears to try to pick up a one-hit KO onto their Maxmon, whereas they can't knock us out in return. So maybe that was smarter. Okay, either way, right now both of us have a fair amount of support. Turtonator can trap things in, which is really cool. I don't want to bring Urshifu out because my opponent has 2 fairies right now. We can save that for the late game once the Tailwind is over. And they have Metagross. Okay. I'm pretty happy to see that, especially because we have Babiri Berry on the Grimmsnarl as well. Question is whether or not we get taunted here. I'm fine to just Spirit Break into Whimsicott here. And Fire Spin this turn, I think. I mean, I really want to Iron Defense, but I might get taunted. And since we have Urshifu in the back and Babiri on Grimm, I think it's worth to just get damage onto Whimsicott right now. It also traps Whimsicott in, which puts it in a really precarious position. And since this is max HP, max defense Turtonator, I think Turtonator actually looks really, really strong in this endgame for us right now. So I was a little bit disappointed in that last one. Turtonator clutched it for us, but I didn't put it in a position to succeed. This time around, it's looking a little stronger. It is going to be Helping Hand. Okay, I mean, Helping Hand Earthquake definitely hurts here. And that's a good play. Ooh, Turtonator does not take that much, though. Nice. It does just over half, but we have Leftovers recovery, which is sweet, right? Whimsicott should go down now as well. Iron Defense probably would have just won us the game there, so maybe I should have gone for it instead. But Urshifu should also clean up the game against the Metagross. I can't drop the speed, but now Turtonator is going to heal back from Leftovers each turn. If you Earthquake, you're going to damage yourself. We still have Babiri on the Grimmsnarl as well, so those are all good things for us. Grimm comes out for my opponent. Just double check. 2 turns of Tailwind left, right, on their end? Yep. Which is great, because that means the last turn of Tailwind we can just stall out with Urshifu. You can also go for Thunder Wave, or you can't go for anything on a Grimmsnarl. So in this position, I think I'm just going to Spirit Break into the Grimmsnarl, protect Turtonator. Oh, you know what's interesting? If their weakness policy, Sucker Punch here. But I think we should protect Turtonator just for a little bit more lefties recovery. Because Urshifu plus Turtonator, I think, wins us the end game right now. Yep. Oh, they actually had Fake Out. Wow, interesting. Okay, so glad to go for Protect there. They're going to Iron Head into our Babiri here, so that's good as well. I think we should survive, but I'm not 100% sure. It's actually enough for a KO. Wow. Okay. You know, that's not amazing for us, but it's okay because I think now what we can do is we bring out Urshifu, we protect Urshifu, we go for Fire Spin on a Metagross, and then Fire Spin plus the chip damage plus Wicked Blow should be a KO onto the Metagross. So, yeah, I think we just go for that. Let's Detect here, and let's go for Fire Spin. This is why I was saying, though, if I Iron Defense earlier, like, you don't even do that much damage. Sure, I don't knock out Whimsicott, but then I'm already at +2 defense, and I can just keep spamming Iron Defense and then Body Press in the end game. But because I didn't click it initially, now I feel like I really shouldn't. The Fire Spin plus the chip damage should ensure that Wicked Blow KOs Metagross the subsequent turn. Grimmsnarl has no way to control the speed against Urshifu because you can't use Prankster attacks against a Dark-type Pokemon. So even if the Metagross is weakness policy, all I need is to chip away at it so that Wicked Blow from the Urshifu should pick up a knockout onto it. So we're going to Detect. They are Self-Sucker Punch. Okay. That makes this interesting. That definitely makes this very interesting. And they're going to go for an Earthquake. But the thing is, you do a lot of damage to your own Grimmsnarl with this Earthquake. And we're Focus Sashed. So I'm pretty sure we win the game, unless they have Bullet Punch on Metagross as well. Wait, no, because they have Sucker Punch, they actually have priority with Grimmsnarl here. Holy cow. Is that enough for them to win the game? Because the question is, how much does Spirit Break do to Urshifu? If you're my opponent, you just go double up on an Urshifu, Spirit Break. Do you Sucker Punch here is the question. Oh, we have a mind game here. Do I have a safe out? Because if I get Sucker Punched, I think you Spirit Break with Grim here. So for that reason, I'm actually going to target Grimmsnarl instead. I'm going to close combat Grim here, expecting them to Spirit Break here. Okay, they go for Reflect. That's fine. Wicked Blow actually to Metagross would have just won, but I think close combat still KOs here. Okay, so unless you have Bullet Punch on Metagross, Wicked Blow should KO the Metagross. Wow, Fake Out Sucker Punch Reflect. That's really interesting. Yep, there's Iron Head. Brings us down to our Sash. So unless they actually have Bullet Punch this entire time, that would be so wild right now. Because I don't think Sucker Punch will KO anymore, so we need a Wicked Blow here into Metagross. It's tough to fit Bullet Punch onto a set like this, but I don't know. There's definitely been a lot of surprises so far. I feel like Reflect doesn't make very much sense, because I crit through it anyway. And they don't have Bullet Punch, so we end up winning. Wow, these games have been wild today. And that should KO. Beautiful. Okay, nice. So, normally Turtonator would have done a little bit better, but my opponent actually had that self-Sucker Punch combination. This is why I was saying that I had the opportunity to Iron Defense, but Taunt is so common on Whimsicott. That being said, I don't think most people know what Turtonator does, so a single Iron Defense there would have just really sealed it up instantly. Either way, though, Turtonator gave us a lot of late-game insurance, right? Our opponent basically needed to target around it and specifically activate that weakness policy so that they could actually knock out the Turtonator. So, definitely a fun start for these games. And alright, last game of the day. There is a Kyogre here, so I feel like this is probably not it for Turtonator. Dialga's really good here, though. So is Rillaboom, because it does ignore the Amoonguss. Oh man, how in the world do I actually want to approach this? Dialga's amazing in this matchup, so I need to make sure I executed it well, because should be a really, really big asset for us. Turtonator's low-key a little bit interesting, solely for trapping in the Kartana. I mean, I feel like I should go Urshifu, Rillaboom, Grim. I guess the interesting thing is if I go with these four, my Kartana answers are actually a little bit shaky by not bringing Turtonator or Landorus. Landorus does feel, Kartana does feel like such a prime candidate to Dynamax on my opponent's team. We have Rillaboom here. Fake Out, that's pretty good. What if I'm bringing Grimmsnarl? What am I doing? Because I'm not setting up screens, right? Scary Face is pretty bad. Yeah, Fake Tear is actually very good. Okay, I'm going to go Grimmsnarl, Dialga, Rillaboom, Urshifu in this last one. Turtonator certainly came out in those first two. I'm sad because like neither of those games was like Turtonator just clearly winning an endgame for us, but it definitely put in some work, so I'm happy about that. That being said, that first game, like I mentioned, I should have played... I mean, I should have... I say I should have, but turn one, like the thing with Venusaur is if you get hit by a Sleep Powder and you Dynamax, it is so bad. So it's going to be Latias and Amoonguss, which I'm fine with. I think very rarely do you actually expect Max Hailstorm from Dialga, so turn one, I'm honestly very content to just Max Hailstorm into Amoonguss and Fake Out into it. So then we can just spam Scary Face or Fake Tears with Grimmsnarl. So yeah. This Dialga set's really fun, right? It's got a lot of anti-meta stuff. You've got the Hailstorm that hits so many different things in the metagame for more damage than we typically expect. You've got Max Rockfall for Charizard. Rockfall also actually is really important against Thundurus, and of course AV Thundurus has been on so many teams recently, and so that gives you more good coverage as well. So the nice thing about this Dialga is basically getting a burst of damage that no one's expecting. I think when people see Dialga, they often expect it to be a little bit bulkier, either with, I don't know, Assault Vest, for example, maybe Weakness Policy. No Protect on Amoonguss, right? That's a fantastic start to the game, because I think we should just one-shot with Hailstorm. They actually just go for a Draco Meteor onto Dialga, which I'm totally fine with. We don't take that much damage from that. Latias is in a really awkward spot going into the next turn, and now I can essentially just whatever comes in, go for a Scary Face to lower its speed immediately. So, knocking out Amoonguss, always a good start to the game. Now, the awkwardness is that I do set up the Hail, and since my Urshifu in the back is Focus Sash, that might not be great, but this is definitely a decent start to the game for us, I would say. Yeah, especially because Latias now really doesn't apply any pressure going into turn 2 of this match. So, like, if you bring out the Kartana, I'm just going to Scary Face into Kartana. That allows my Urshifu to max. Getting a Scary Face onto anything that potentially wants to Dynamax on my opponent's end is a really big deal. Kyogre actually comes out first, which I'm honestly fine with. Yeah, I mean, the question is, do you max Kyogre? That'd be interesting. Latias can Tailwind here, so that's also interesting. But I don't think you can knock out Dialga, so, like, I kind of want to just max Wormwind into Kyogre and not Scary Face, Fake Tears into it. That seems okay to me. You know what's smart if you're my opponent? You bring out Kyogre solely to Water Spout into the Grimmsnarl. I went for this play assuming Kyogre is going to Dynamax this turn, but yeah, they don't max, and so if I just went Scary Face onto Kyogre, we'd be in better shape, I think. But maybe we just outspeed with Dialga. No, Kyogre should be faster than us here. I'd be really surprised. Oh, we do outspeed, though. Okay. Even though this turn worked out, it wasn't the best play. Because if Kyogre were faster than our Dialga there, we would get crushed this turn by a Water Spout. So, I think it is better to just go for Scary Face plus Max Wormwind there. Because as long as Grimmsnarl survives the turn, and we can use it to get the Fake Tears into Kartana now. Actually, would I rather Fake Tears or Scary Face here? I think Scary Face is better. Yeah, we can Wormwind into Latias here, Scary Face into Kartana. That should be game over. But, I mean, turn 1 went great. Turn 2 was not the smartest play on my end. Yes, it worked out, but if Kyogre outspeeds us there, it's really bad. And we're not max speed Dialga, so I can't make that play in confidence thinking we're going to outspeed. So Kartana maxes, but as soon as I get a Scary Face onto it, Urshifu, close combat, should finish up the deal. But Dialga's a really cool anti-Metamon right now. I think a lot of the Steel restricteds other than Zacian are a little bit underplayed, whether it be Solgaleo, Necrozma, or the Kartana. What am I saying, Kartana? Or the Dialga. And this Dialga is really fun because it's just so much more fast-paced than people typically expect. So they get the helping handoff, but Wormwind here KOs the Latias. In the end, my opponent just had no safe switches into Dialga. They didn't protect on any of the turns either, so we were really able to just get a lot out of our max moves, which was really, really nice. So, Kartana gets a little bit off here. Sure, you pick up a knockout, but at this point, the game's over. There's really nothing you can do, especially with an Urshifu with close combat in the back, and Kartana being dropped in speed, and yeah. I mean, Dialga's really good into Rain, and it's actually really good into Sun with the Rockfall and the Hailstorm combination as well. So, yeah. This team is definitely a lot of fun to play with. Here, I can just go for... We can't see the animation, can we? Let's just go for our highest accuracy attack. Well, that would be Power Gem. Yeah, okay, sure. I'll Power Gem and Fake Tears here. It doesn't really matter because close combat and from the Urshifu in the back closes out the game. So, yeah, they just end up forfeiting here. Alright, not bad. That was a pretty fast third match, though, so let's play a fourth one here. Last matchup of the day. It's another Kyogre, but there's a Naganadel team here. Okay. I'm bringing Dialga again. I mean, Dialga's so good here. It's definitely Dialga, Urshifu, Rillaboom. Is there room for Landorus? Part of me wants to bring Turtonator, but I don't think it's the right decision. I think this is just Grim, Dialga, Rillaboom, Urshifu. Although, Galarian Moltres is a very, very big problem for us here, because I can't go for Fake Tears onto it. And I do think in the team report for this team that the original creator wrote about, he said that Galarian Moltres is a really big problem, as well as Yveltal, because they can outbulk you, and this Dialga wants to do, like, that third game is what you want to do with this Dialga, which is really just sweep through as quickly as possible. It's Naganadel and the Indeedee. I think I got a Haremite. Yeah. Oh. Naganadel, Indeedee. I mean, this clearly indicates follow me. Wow, my Grimmsnarl's awful. I should not have brought it out into this with Psychic Terrain. That was a really poor decision on my end. I can't do any. Oh, I can Spirit Break. That's better than nothing. Alright, let's max Wormwind into the Indeedee then, and Spirit Break into the Naganadel. I haven't seen Naganadel in quite a while. Well, I feel like we might have faced against it on Road to Rank sometime this year, but generally, like, the last time I really remember using it was when it first came out. Back in, like, what, VGC 2018? So, it's been a while. And back then, I never knew how to pronounce it, so for those of you that watch Road to Rank back then, I just called it Barney, because it reminds me of Barney the dinosaur. Yeah, there's Follow Me. I'm hoping Life Orb Wormwind's enough to one-shot it, and then we can get a special attack drop on something Naganadel. Oh gosh, it is nasty plot. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's not good. That is definitely not good. And they're Focus Sashed. This is looking a little bit rough, I have to admit, folks. I don't have Max Quake either. Couldn't boost my special defense. I had no way around Focus Sash plus Nasty Plot. So let's think about leads. What lead matchup does well into this? Is there any way I have spread damage? The answer is yes. I actually have Blizzard on Dialga, but really, really, really don't want to rely on Blizzard. That's not smart. And that is going to be Bronzong coming out. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Would have expected something a little bit more offensive, but I suppose it can just Iron Defense now in front of us. Although we have Urshifu, so that's not the end of the world. What are the odds there's Ally Switch on Bronzong? Why else would you bring Bronzong out? I really think Ally Switch is coming our way. I can't beat Naganadel if I don't get an attack into it from Dialga. I don't know. I honestly feel like the odds of Ally Switch here are relatively high. So I'm going to read into it. I'm going to max Wormwind into... and Spirit Break. Show me Ally Switch. Maybe Naganadel just KOs anyway at plus... Oh, wait. I didn't even... Oh, never mind. It's just at +2 special attack. So maybe Max Wormwind just KOs my Dialga anyway. Yeah, they sold a Life Orb, so... I have no way out here if it was gonna KO Dialga anyway. Well, they actually max guarded, okay. We take those, so no Ally Switch. But it's a chunk of damage onto the Bronzong. Which is actually really valuable because now that thing is in KO range from a Urshifu. But it would make sense for them to go for Max Guard and then go for a Body Press onto Dialga so then you can KO the subsequent turn. I shouldn't have brought Grimmsnarl out into a matchup with Indeedee. That was a really poor decision on my end. Yeah, Iron Defense is fine because Urshifu can beat that in the late game anyway. If you're running Iron Defense, you're going to run Body Press and Trick Room. It's just the 4th attack once again. I'm just going to Wormwind this time. Watch the Ally Switch actually come out. That would be hilarious. The question is whether or not my Dialga can take a +2 max Wormwind from Naganadel. Yeah, I am surprised to see Bronzong come out. And they max Ooze rather than targeting Dialga. Okay, does the max Wormwind one-shot them? I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't target Dialga there because you just give me a free attack. I know you're not Focus Sashed. I would think Life Orb max Wormwind KOs here. And they're Life Orb too. If you're Life Orb, I don't know. I guess they were reading into Dialga protecting in that position. But I obviously don't even have Protect. I mean, that's the best explanation. My opponent got greedy that turn, in my opinion. I think you should always max Wormwind into Dialga, because what in the world is Grimmsnarl ever doing against you in this situation anyway? You should just divert your attention onto Dialga, because it's the only thing on my team that threatens Naganadel. So I think that was just a really big misplay from my opponent, to be honest, and I think that might win us the game if they don't Trick Room. And yeah, they go for Iron Defense, so now Urshifu just comes out, Wicked Blow, one-shots Bronzong, and I feel like we should win now, but my opponent definitely misplayed there by not targeting Dialga, in my opinion, with the Wormwind. Because, like, even if you're reading into a Protect, you have Psychic Terrain up, right? So what in the world am I ever doing with my Grimmsnarl into your Naganadel? At best, a Spirit Break. But even if why would I Max Guard there? Because then my Max would just end the next turn. I know you're going to one-shot me anyway. So I think that's an example of my opponent reading into a Protect that I had very little reason to make, even if I had Protect. And quite frankly, their Naganadel could have swept through us here. So, hilariously enough, me reading into an Ally Switch that wasn't even there actually ended up helping us because we got a burst of damage. But You know, I do want to do the calc. Like, I feel like +2 Life Orb Max Wormwind probably could have just one-shot Dialga, but I guess I'm not 100% sure on that. No, I don't know. Dialga is really, really bulky. Either way, we get the Wicked Blow on a Bronzong. That's a KO. Nice. And I think we get to see the Roar of Time animation here. Very nice. Okay, sick. And that actually just almost one-shots. Wow, Dialga is so, so strong. Kyogre is going to Origin Pulse here. We also outspeed Kyogre, so a lot of these players I feel like are not running max speed these days. But, I don't know. This is like a clear example of my opponent getting too much setup and not actually using it effectively. If you're trading Indeedee for a Pokemon for a Nasty Plot, you need to make use of that Nasty Plot. So, yeah. I don't know. You know, like, targeting the partner slot would make sense if there was something that could also knock out Naganadel, but Grimmsnarl was just so useless for me there in the end, so... Even though we're going to win, like, 3-0, this could have been a very different game if my opponent just targeted Dialga at the end of the day. So, yeah. Either way, though, part of why this Dialga is really strong, or why this team is actually really strong, is because it matches up really, really well into a lot of the meta mons, right? You have Zacian, well, Turtonator and Landorus are helpful for that, as well as Dialga. Kyogre and Groudon, Dialga is actually pretty good against both of those, especially because this Dialga specifically has that max Hailstorm to hit into Groudon, so you can actually maybe one-shot Groudon if they don't max, and if they max, well, there's Landorus for the Intimidate, which is valuable, as well as Rillaboom for Grassy Glide. Calyrex Ice, the Turtonator is actually pretty helpful against that. Dialga is also pretty helpful against that because you can just do so much damage and they can't do that much in return. And Landorus once again adds Intimidate to it. Calyrex Shadow Rider could be a little bit interesting. That's why Urshifu is on the team. But there you go, right? Those are like the 5 most common restricted mons, and this team has a pretty solid answer against all of those. So you see Turtonator on the team, you initially probably think, it's kind of a meme, it's kind of a joke, but it actually like is really, really strong. We brought it out in games 1 and 2. Definitely put in some work there. I wish I could have played it better because in game 1, I like, you never want to be in a position where you need to double protect to win the game. So I feel like I need to think of a better game plan on turn 1 because the question is, how do I cover for Sleep Powder and Max Venusaur? I'm not sure. I wasn't expecting to outspeed Venusaur as well, but that was maybe kind of a bad assumption. Actually, I want to double check. Yeah, if you're max speed with Venusaur, I'm pretty sure you outspeed this Dialga because it only has 100 speed EVs, but I just want to confirm that really quickly. Venusaur, level 50. Let's assume modest max. What do we got? Modest. 132. So yeah, the Venusaur in game 1 was just slow. Like, it had less speed investment than you typically see and a lot more in defensive investment, hence the Hailstorms. Game 1, I definitely feel like I misplayed a little bit, but yeah, it is what it is. Lucky for us that we get the double in the end. And funny, let Turtonator make someone rage quit in the first game of the day. Either way, though, that's going to be it for this one, so thank you so much as always for watching. Thank you to the original creator for the team. Check out them, the rental, and a team report in Japanese in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. Alright, peace.